now. Um, we are live, which got automatically tweeted out for fantasy's sake. I'm going to copy that link, toss it out to the ether. Okay. I am just going to retweet this, and then we are going to be ready to go, kicking off short yardage for the first time of the 2021 season. My name is Michael Sicoli.
We are back.
This is Nick Gurol with me, and I am very excited to be a part of this, presented by For Fantasy's Sake. It's been a busy week after, a month of nothing really outside of rumors, and I just can't wait to be here. How's it going?
Pretty good. I said we're back, but I'm just joining For Fantasy's Sake this year, coming on as the resident nerd numbers guy. Excited to talk some ball.
Yeah, no, I was here last year, but man, it feels good to be talking about it all over again. Oh boy, is that Deej Jarvis? Are we gonna have a surprise drop in? That would be nice. But either way, we have a great lineup today. Obviously, not the greatest news though. We had a big injury. We had two big injuries this week. One of them was one that was lingering, but we're gonna start with Cam Akers, running back for the Rams. Talked about him being a big breakout going to the second round, and he's torn his Achilles. He's gonna be out for the season.
Yeah, rough week here. We'll start off with Cam. Next man up, really, Darrell Henderson. Sorry, Cam, but we'll see it next year. I do think he might be a little bit of a target. I don't think his value will be any lower than it is now, and I think the probability of him, his career being over is slim. We've never really had a back as young and as talented as him tear their Achilles. Everyone else was kind of a bum. Your Isaiah Correll's, Donta Foreman, flashes in the pan at best. Never really came back from it. Probably the best back to ever tear their Achilles was Arian Foster at 29. So again, all these backs kind of already were on their way out, and the Achilles tear was maybe the final straw. So we actually have two cases that we've never seen before with Marlon Mack and Cam Akers, both being pretty young, pretty explosive players. I think Marlon Mack's going to get plenty of run behind Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be awesome, obviously. But we'll see if Mack still has that burst, and if he does, then that's a good sign for Cam Akers. But buy low in Dynasty. I think you get some kind of bump in ADP, Dynasty ADP at some point, and you can sell them off for a little bit of a profit there.
Yeah, this is a guy that we were talking about being right over my shoulder here. We were talking about him having potential Gurley level of impacts on fantasy rosters. Now that's completely off the board. He's not someone I'm looking to sell. You're selling him as low as you have right now. So Cam Akers is a talented player, and anybody trying to tell you that the history of the Achilles injury is a death knell, there's no precedent. We don't have history of someone being a 22-year-old up and rising running back like Cam Akers was, who's still going to be in this offense. Now, the biggest thing about Cam Akers and the biggest thing about guys coming off these big injuries is not about his health or his return to health. It's about whether he gets the chance. If he gets the chance to be this bell cow again, did that window close? Because I think it's more than likely that it did. The Rams have limited draft capital, but it does not take much to add a running back. Now, I think we got to move on to Darrell Henderson, who's obviously the immediate benefactor of this. So where are you taking Darrell Henderson? What are your thoughts right now?
Right now, I think ADP's quickly caught up with where he should go. It kind of depends on what format you're on. So if you're on Underdog trying to bank one of these big tournaments, take down $50,000, like you just absolutely cannot draft Darrell Henderson because you're going to be competing with teams that got him in the 10th, 11th round, right? So can't take him there. Again, same deal if you're trying to do these like little redraft tournaments or anything like that. Again, if you have to compete against teams that got him when he was the backup, you You just can't. You got to fade him. Now, if you're redrafting with your buddies, so you're coming up in August, I think you take a look, and he should really go, I would say, kind of right around Kareem Hunt. So I guess if you're drafting Kareem Hunt, he's sniped. You get sniped, and you were targeting him. Darrell Henderson's still on the board. I think you're fine, because I don't know that they'll bring someone in, but Henderson's got durability issues. I don't think McVay and everybody's going to mortgage what I'm sure in their eyes is a Super Bowl window season on just Darrell Henderson. But the problem is not a lot of veterans to pick from right now, so it's his for now.
No, the free agency market right now is slim. And when they immediately came out and they said, we're comfortable with our room, we're not looking to add someone, that's not a testament to the strength of the room. That's a testament to the strength of the market. And Todd Gurley's, to bring him up again, he's not coming back to the Rams after how that ended. And even if he did, after what we saw, I think he's busted. Duke Johnson, it couldn't make the Texans. That speaks for itself. I don't have to say more right there. It's slim pickings out there. And if you want Darrell Henderson, you can have him. He's going to go in fourth round, probably. If he's going around the Kareem Hunt range, which I agree with you. I think that's where he's going to end up. That's the RB23. I'm willing to pay that price. I'm willing to pay RB23 because if he's on a week-to-week basis, regardless of who they end up signing, if they do, he will perform in the top 20. This is the Rams offense. He's going to score. He's going to get touches because, it's impossible not to. He's a value at RB24 to RB23. It's just a matter of you maximizing the window to sell him before he gets injured, because I agree with you. I think there are durability concerns.
Yeah. A couple darts you can take. I think you and I kind of settled on two. We like, and these are just absolute, just Hail Marys, is Xavier Jones. You mentioned he's the incumbent. They brought him back, UDFA. Usually you don't see UDFAs come back, so they must like him. And then they got a 7th round pick this year, Jake Funk. Both are kind of same build, same archetype as Henderson. If he can't get it done, one of them is going to step up. So stash him where you can, I would say. Either one's fine. Like I said, it's a lottery ticket. And even
with Cam Akers healthy last year, we saw the Rams use multiple running backs. Now, that doesn't mean they're both going to be viable. You saw Malcolm Brown last year exist not for fantasy owners, but just to annoy them, just to grab a few touchdowns. So if Xavier Jones, if Jake Funk, if they see the field, that's enough to flash a little bit. That's enough to maybe grow into a role because they're going to see time. Darrell Henderson cannot exist on his own, and the Rams know that.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of, I guess we're staying in the foot, the ankle. Michael Thomas getting surgery in June, 4 months recovery. Week 6 bye is going to put him back on your fantasy rosters, maybe playing around the week 8 to 10 range. So big hit for those people that have been drafting Michael Thomas early. Those people may be hoping for a bounce back in Dynasty are going to have to wait. Where are you taking Michael Thomas?
Oh, where am I taking Michael Thomas? Well, he is completely off my board if my league doesn't have an injured reserve spot, an IR. I'll just get that right off the bat. There's no player that you should draft that you have to hold for a guaranteed 8 weeks. It would take a miraculous recovery to come around the week 7 because week 6 bye. That's obviously can't play that week. Week 7 will be way ahead of timeline. Week 8 is the earliest on the timeline. So if I'm holding a player for 8 weeks, I need somewhere to stash him. He can't be on my bench. That's a waste of a spot. But if I have an IR, I think the 8th, 9th round, maybe. Because we also played this game last year. People kept waiting for him to come back. And if he comes back and he's not 100%, if we get what we got at the end of last year, and who knows how the quarterback play is going to be, it's ugly. And I don't know if that's something I even want to be a part of for a 9th round pick. That's the gamble I'm willing to take.
Yeah. I think you'd have to maybe take him a little bit earlier than that. Which
means I'm probably not getting him.
Yeah. I think if he's there in the 7th, I think you got to take him because that's a pretty good, the opportunity cost there. You're taking him over guys like, I don't know. Let me check here. Guys like,
let's see. In the 7th round, you said?
Yeah, 7th round.
Yeah, that's going to be about Juju. I'll take Juju. I'll take Cortland Sutton. I'll take
Yeah.
Devonta Smith. I'll take Robbie
Yeah, the
Anderson. I'll
problem
take
is
all
the
those
last few
guys.
years, that guy suspended for the first 4 games, that guy out for 6 to 8 weeks for the beginning of the season. The last one that kind of panned out, where the gamble you took on him at cost, and I think he had a good stretch run, was like a Julian Edelman, like a long time ago. AJ Green was that guy last year and just never got back. So yeah, I mean, I do think that in those best ball leagues where people were taking him in the 3rd round, you get to do the opposite thing now. Is you get to leverage that and you get Michael Thomas in whatever round, 7th, 8th. I think if he's there and you look at the ADP and you're getting him like a half round to a round discount on him, I think he's fine there. But yeah, if you can, I don't know.
Yeah.
He could be great. He could be great for the back half of the season and win people fantasy championships is the thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just it's 8 games. It's at least 8 games that you need to win to get to the playoffs. But I'll give a quick shout out to, I think I saw 4 to 6 rosters in the Scott Fishbowl League this year that had both Cam Akers and Michael Thomas, and my heart goes out to you. That's just the way it rolls sometimes. That's terrible. Yeah. But we got to talk about what a Saints offense without Michael Thomas looks like, because we could talk about Michael Thomas, but there's ramifications there. There are a whole bunch of untalented receivers behind him that people need to take dart shots on.
Yeah, I think it's just fade everything except for Kamara. Kamara's numbers look great when Thomas. I mean, in-out splits are really, as the numbers guy, you want to be careful with those. But in splits without Michael Thomas and Taysom Hill is the quarterback, Kamara just absolutely smashed. Like almost a 20% plus target share. Yeah, and I do think that Taysom Hill is going to end up being the quarterback. What do you think?
I think Taysom Hill starts the season. I'd be surprised if we don't see Jameis. But Kamara's. I saw a tweet today, and I don't agree with it, but it's right up there. He is in conversation for the 101. There's no running back, with the exception of McCaffrey, who I still is my 101, who is assured as much passing volume as Kamara is. He's too talented not to. Sean Payton schemes him to be, and there's not players with juice like Kamara has. And then when supply, I think when Michael Thomas was out, he didn't have a single game without double-digit targets. That's going to come after. That's going to go. So people are still taking Kamara. He's going to be a top 3 running back for me. What I think I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what I want to talk about, though, is Adam Troutman. I've been a bit of a fan ever since he came out of Dayton. But if you were still talking about Kamara, I'd want to talk about Kamara then before we move on to Troutman.
Well, I actually just got something came across my desk. I'm in a little bit of a high stakes FFPC league. Pretty sick flex on my part, I know, but we took Michael Thomas in the 3rd round, and we were so pumped. And woke up this morning, Miles Sanders fell to us in the 5th. Pumped about that, and then the tweets started coming. We thought we were on the moon, and looks like it's not going to be quite the direct flight we thought it was. But anyway, back to Kamara. I do think I think because of this, I think what Sean Payton's going to do is he's going to get a little gadgety, try to nickel and dime his way to a few wins, kind of check on Michael Thomas's status, and maybe do a little mid-season quarterback switch to kind of keep everybody on their toes, because he's going to have to get a little bit weird to compete. I mean, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, these guys are trash. Adam Troutman didn't show us anything. Like, who are they going to sign? Golden Tate?
Golden Tate, Alshon Jeffrey. I'm not interested in either. But I mean, Adam Troutman graded out as the best run blocking tight end in football last year by PFF. Now that doesn't get you fantasy points, but what that does get you is on the field. That gets you on the field and the ability to make plays in the receiving game. Now, I think he can. We haven't seen him used in the receiving game. You had Jared Cook last year. He was a rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends are notorious for coming in slow. But for a late round pick, I don't think there's many tight ends you can get in the 13th to undrafted rounds that has the true ability to be the number 1 receiver for their team. Now, you could say that's Alvin Kamara, but Adam Troutman's on the field as well, and he's not leaving because they spent a 3rd-round pick on him. That does value. You look at these receivers.
He's athletic too. Yeah, he's athletic.
Yeah.
I'm just not interested. I think this is going to be a really weird offense. I just would rather not. Like I said.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't even want to talk about it. Let's move on.
Yeah, no, no, that's as much as I ever want to talk about Traquan Smith. But all right, moving on beyond the injuries, because that defines the week, Makers and Michael Thomas. But minicamp starting up, and we have those buy sell headlines, and I'd love to get into that. So the first one, a doozy. All right. So it was reported that J.D. McKissic has added weight, and he wants an expanded role in this offense. Now, what do you say to that, Nick?
He looks good in shorts. Best condition he's been in his life. I'm not interested because they got to start throwing Antonio Gibson the ball. They're going to just absolutely tee off this year, and unfortunately, as long as Antonio Gibson learns how to pass block, we're not going to hear from McKissic a whole lot. I do, as an zero RB guy, love J.D. McKissic. So I kind of hope he's still catching like 50-plus balls, but I just don't see it. I think they're going to really hammer Antonio Gibson this year.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of when running back. Typically, I'm not a fan of when running backs bulk up, particularly guys like J.D. McKissic. We see this a lot where scat backs try to become more than they are. McKissic, you are good. You are good at being a receiving back. You do not need to be a 3-down back. You do not need to be a 2nd-down back. You don't need to be any of that. You have carved out a role that you are good at, and you need to stick with it because right now is a good way where he's going to try to do too much. He's going to find himself slower than he was, and I'll still take the shot in zero RB, but this is just people see it and they're like, ooh, expanded role, but he's not getting it.
Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we need to talk about J.D. McKissic, honestly.
Similar headline here with the Athletics. Aaron Rice said Texans rookie wide receiver Nico Collins should have a chance to see a lot of snaps early. Doesn't move the needle for me because rookie wideouts with bad draft capital. What was he, a 5th, 6th?
No, he was a third. He was a 3rd-round pick. A day 2 pick.
I'm not interested. I think this is a weaker class than perceived anyway. A lot of small guys. I think I said 5th or 6th round because I think this any other draft class year, you're seeing him last that long. But how you treat. I guess we can talk about Texans just in general. Like I don't think Deshaun Watson takes a snap for them. We'll talk about that later. But Tyrod Taylor, you want the Tyrod Taylor Nico Collins connection? Be my guest. I'm going to pass.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest argument against any Nico Collins breakout is the quarterback situation. Even if it's not Tyrod Taylor, even if it is Davis Mills, who I've heard people coming out and say, at least he's a rookie, at least he has upside, and he does, but it's still a rookie. The ceiling's capped. Nico Collins, I'm sure he's going to get reps. I buy the report. I would put a buy, but that's because I can barely name the 4th wide receiver. Like it's Brandon Cooks, who I think is a trade candidate on his own, Nico Collins, and Randall Cobb. And then there's nothing else. And that's saying that Randall Cobb is something. So it's just bare pickings. And we've seen teams that are just bad, that they're not scoring enough, so they're not going to have points. Bad teams don't have to produce fantasy producers. Yeah.
You can say garbage time. I don't even see the Texans as a garbage time team. And as a science teacher, we got to think about the environment here, right? Like a chameleon will only grow to the size of its cage. We got, the cage here is just atrocious for Nico Collins. Hopefully he gets some new scenery. Actually take the whole Texans organization, put them in a rocket, send them to space. That's
what I was going to say. I was going to say the carbon footprint of the Houston Texans has got to be just too large for what they provide to us. So, if we just got rid of Houston.
There's some crazy stuff going on there. I think that this whole thing with Philly and the draft picks, this is all a business move every step of the way. We're not going to get into that. We're going to talk about ESPN's Mike Rice. Said Damien Harris is the surefire number 1 backfield option. We've seen this story before. There is not a surefire number 1 in the Patriots backfield, and there hasn't been for the last 15 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as that. I mean, I like Damon Harris. I like him, the talent. I think he could be more than how they use him. But the problem is it's Belichick, and I'm of the belief that Sony Michel is not going to make this roster, and that would Damon Harris is a very high floor, low ceiling play, and that ceiling only raises when Mac Jones takes under center. Because if Damon Harris isn't getting goal line touches, if Cam Newton is going to steal those touches, there's not enough receiving work and not enough touchdowns to get it done. 20 carries for 90 yards should be great, but 99 points is barely a flex play.
Yeah, so I mean, he doesn't catch passes. That's James White's role. If Cam Newton's the quarterback, which I mean, I really think it's Cam Newton's job to lose. He's the goal line back. So I mean, he's going around Melvin Gordon, Ayuk, Odell. I mean, I'm taking him over Melvin Gordon, but the answer here is we're still taking receivers right now. When Damien Harris is on the board, we're pulling the trigger on a Nobel bounce back, a T. Higgins, like just continued ascendance, Chase Claypool. These are grown men. Damien Harris, I'm selling that. I'm selling.
No, I agree. I mean, and I think he's going similarly to someone DJ just brought up in our comments with David Johnson, who will be involved in that Texans game. We could have brought that up before. He will be involved in the receiving game out of pure necessity.
No one wants to draft David Johnson. I mean, I'm
that's another name.
To wait. Yeah,
that's another name that's going. I'm pretty sure he's going behind Damien Harris right now, and it's awfully close to me. I mean,
you might as well wait on David Johnson.
Yeah, David Johnson is the RB31. Actually, Damien Harris is RB33. So they're 10 spots apart. But that's the tier I'm looking at. Yeah, the reputation of David Johnson is in the dirt.
The answer is wide receiver there.
Yeah, no, it's these mid-round running backs. When you're talking about them, you're typically looking for wide receiver, or quarterback, or tight end, just not running back.
Yeah, another one of these kind of mid-round running backs is Nagy said he wants 20 rushing attempts per game for David Montgomery. I want a beach house, Nagy. I don't think you're going to be able to run the ball 20 times a game with David Montgomery because your team's going to be trailing a lot, especially if you trot out Andy Dalton. What do you think?
I've been trying to figure out what Matt Nagy has wanted ever since he's touched down in Chicago, and as far as I'm concerned, he wants to lose his job because he's shown nothing other than that. But I think Dave Montgomery will be seeing the rock. I think he'll see this 16 to 20 carries a game. I think they'll try to get him 20 carries a game. And I think the defense is good enough to keep them in it. It's a lot of it matters. I mean, it's a division. The Vikings are a beatable team. The Vikings are good, but they're beatable. The Packers could look entirely different in a month. And the Lions are Detroit. So it's a beatable division. That's 6 games. That helps.
Yeah. I mean,
they showed a willingness to lean on him last year as well.
Yeah. And Tariq Cohen, there's reports that his rehab is not going well, which that'd be great. But I think they signed Damian Williams for that. That's the contingency plan. Like, I don't think they want David Montgomery. Yeah, they might want him to rush the ball 20 times a game. That's not going to happen. And he's not going to get the pass down work. He's not going to go through 4 to 5 soft defenses like he did to end the year. So you're buying him at, I think, his ceiling. So I'm selling this headline. I mean, can we take a second and just shouts out to my guy, Andy Dalton. He got thrown to the Wolves last year behind whatever that was on the offensive line in Dallas. They're going to put him out there week 1 against Aaron Darnold to get it just absolutely mauled.
Sacrifice play.
And then we'll see Justin Fields for the rest of the year. Which I think that's smart. Don't put our guy out there to get eaten alive in his first game as a rookie. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Andy Dalton. I think this is his swan song. I think we're going to see him kind of just go off into the sunset after this, out to pasture.
His best case is turning into Tyrod Taylor at that role right now, where he still gets signed as a veteran. He lasts for 2 to 4 games and gets replaced.
Yeah.
But the Bears also, bringing back Tariq Cohen, whether his injury goes well or not, they also drafted Khalil Herbert. It was a 5th, 6th round pick. It was day 3, but that's another passing game specialist that But that's why I kind of buy it. I buy that they'll try to give him the rock on the ground. The receiving work is where I start to doubt it. Where if game script doesn't go his way, which it could, it's the Bears, I would be a little bit concerned. But a guy who finishes the RB4 last year, granted he had easy matchups, but he's still facing Detroit and he's still facing Green Bay, neither of which I thought have improved those run defenses.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm taking David Montgomery, if I'm looking running back there, the back end of the third, early third rather, I mean, I'm going to go David Montgomery over Josh Jacobs probably. But again, the receivers there are just too good. So the answer is no. Moving on. And we got ESPN's Adam Schefter believes there is no team better positioned to trade for Deshaun Watson than Philadelphia. As a Philly guy, that would be interesting for the city as a whole. I think there was another report that came out after this that said someone in the know says 90% chance he's in Philly. They have the draft capital. Yeah. They have Hurts as a bargaining chip, which I think would be wild if he was part of the deal. I don't think that that's the case, but who knows?
I think that would have to be, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think if you're moving for Watson, and we'll back this up with what I don't even know if it needs to be said, but us talking about Watson has nothing to do with his personal character. We only have to talk about the fantasy side of it. But what's it called? Hurts. I if they trade for Watson, they're not dealing with the question marks of the the Hurts whispers that they had with Wentz. They're sending Hurts along with at least one of those, probably both of those first that they're holding next year. They do have two. That this is a deal that can get done. I can't imagine they have a lot of suitors. I don't think Philadelphia is one of many trying to get Deshaun Watson right now. So I think this is a deal that can get done. And it would do wonders for the fantasy options in Philadelphia.
Yeah, definitely. Dallas Goedert to the moon. Devonta Smith to the moon if he can get off the line because he's about 180 pounds soaking wet.
Oh,
that's gonna trigger some people. I think Jalen Reagor is not done. I think we can throw out last year for Jalen Reagor because Carson Wentz. I think he was questioning whether or not he wanted to play football at all for Philadelphia last year. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't really like talking about it because it's just such a stupid situation. Just briefly to touch on the legal that will help us predict what's going to happen with this is there is a criminal case out there. So that needs to settle itself out. And while that's out there, I think he's going to be on the exempt list. So I don't think you can get ahead of yourself. If he's with Philly, I don't think we see him. I don't think we see him in 2021 at all. So
yeah. And two things I'll point out. One, he isn't on the exempt list right now, which is interesting because you'd think he would be, but he's not there. Minicamp starts in a week. He's not on the exempt list, so that's something to monitor. And then the other thing is the NFL can still suspend you if you are not charged with anything. We saw that with we've seen it innumerable about times. So if you see it settles and you're like, oh, Watson's gonna be fine, that man could be slapped with an 8-game, 16-game suspension, and I wouldn't bet a not. But if he's on the field, we're talking wide receiver 2 lock for Devonta Smith for me. We're talking Jalen Reagor as all of a sudden an intriguing dart throw, who I imagine will jump into the 9th, 8th round.
And you are not taking Dallas Goedert over Mark Andrews, are you?
No, but I would really want to, and I wouldn't blame a single person for doing so. It all comes down to draft price. If I'm taking either of them in the 6th, 5th round, I'm not taking either. But if I can get Goddard in the 8th, I'll take Goddard in the 8th over Mark Andrews in the 6th.
I mean, I think Goddard will probably end up being one of the better picks because I do think that
regardless of whether Ertz is there.
That's if Ertz is as good as gone. They're already not happy with one another in camp. Someone's going to need a tight end. And the thing is if Deshaun Watson is throwing to Dallas Goedert, maybe that happens halfway through this season. Maybe it happens in 2022. I think that puts him up in kind of the tier two tight ends. Right there with Andrews, and Hawkinson. I kind of would view them all three as first, second targets on their team as tight ends, which is what you want, and pretty good athletic profiles. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's all very guesswork right now. Which is why I don't think we should touch on it any further.
But the people did come for measured, nuanced takes, and I think we gave it to them.
Oh, 100%. With some character, some pizzazz.
Yes.
Nothing more. So I know that you have, you obviously you said you're numbers guy, so you've created a whole chart analytics to work through the dynasty versus redraft ADP, and it's really something, guys. So I take it away.
I'll spare you a lot of the nerd stuff with this, but I used a program, Python coding language, to pull ADP for dynasty, pull ADP for redraft, push them together and find the differences. So what you're seeing here is every player, every relevant player, running back, QB, flex, everything. And what we're looking at is basically the difference between their dynasty ADP and their redraft ADP. There's a whole article on For Fantasy's Sake QC that goes into why this is a good idea, but it's a really easy way to spot value, because if redraft is higher on a player than dynasty, it better mean that player's old, because it would make sense to penalize a player in a dynasty startup for age, even if they're projecting to have a pretty decent year, because age matters in dynasty. Doesn't really matter as much in redraft, but it still matters. So, all right, shut up. Tell us who we should be drafting in dynasty. So Myles Gaskin has the biggest gap, almost 100 100 picks. And this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because he had a great year, maybe some injury concerns last year. He's 24, and he's going to have every chance to be the bell cow there.
They didn't add anyone. Yeah,
they didn't add anyone. We also have Chase Claypool. For some reason, just the uncertainty there with Big Ben. Is he done? He's got the whole lot of mouths to feed, which is such a stupid
narrative.
He's, again, a grown man. He's going to command targets, especially in the red zone, just bodying people. We're Steelers fans, so you can we're getting excited about Chase Claypool. But he's getting penalized in Dynasty for the uncertainty that's really only going to last this year. So we should be targeting him in Dynasty. And Chase Edmonds is an interesting one. Again, it's his role, the pass catching role that we want. Connor's going to mix in plenty, but we want to be targeting Chase Edmonds in Dynasty, because if he is able to hold up over a little bit more of a workload, he's going to be really valuable to us.
See, that's someone I'd put some pause to, because Edmonds is if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's a contract year, which is a running back right there. Contract year running backs, I tend to stay away for Dynasty. But do you think he's going to get the goal line work? Because he's only got one carry in the 5 that last year, I think. I think that's where James Conner excels. And without touchdowns,
the goal line work's going to go to Murray and Connor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Connor's got durability issues. I think that's why his price tag's so low. I know what you. So if a guy's not getting the goal, we want a guy to get goal line work. We want our guy to get the pass catching work. We want him to stay on third downs, 2-minute drill, etc. That's when they start racking up the points for us. I think Chase Edmonds, he's the 2-minute drill back. He's the 4-minute drill back. He's going to get the passing down work, which at his price is plenty. And if James Conner goes down, we're off to the races. And
it's
contract year is scary. I get that, but if he does well, they could bring him back. They took a chance on him. I believe they drafted him out of Fordham.
It's
like
a
that
fifth
type of
round
thing where it's like he's like there. He owes them a lot, and I feel like he would want to stay if he does well, and he could be the guy for another couple of years on a high-powered offense. And they just run so many plays in Arizona.
Yeah,
so many.
That I was going to bring that up. I believe they ran the second most amount of plays. Like they were second in plays per game. It was, more plays means more fantasy points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we won't go through all of these guys. Go read the article, get those page views up. Am I doing this right? I hope so. But
subtle nod, yeah.
Yeah, but there's actually an interesting thing we can do with this, where if we kind of flip it on its head, so we look at the difference, the ones where the dynasty community is way higher than the redraft community. And there's some interesting things that pop out here. I don't think this is as helpful, but one that sticks out here is Baker Mayfield. Dynasty ADP is about 30 spots, so almost 3 rounds ahead on Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's still really young, so he's getting some extra
Contract extension talks.
Yeah, contract extension talks. So that's kind of pumping his value. But I mean, Dynasty is looking for. Last year was kind of like a back end of the year, a little bit of a breakout. But I mean, Stefanski started to trust him. They view Stefanski as this big run heavy coach, but I mean, I think he uses the run to set up the pass. And if you look at what he did with the Vikings, like they were chucking the ball a lot when they had to. I think this is going to be
downfield.
I think this is going to be a really exciting offense that's going to be a little less run heavy than people think. And I think Baker Mayfield could have a really big breakout year, see his dynasty ADP go up, and also pay off his redraft ADP, which is basically free because everyone thinks you need a running quarterback.
Yeah, and the bottom line, Baker Mayfield is a talented player. Like, Baker Mayfield will make plays, he will score. And what I think everyone forgot about as soon as the year started, and I'm not sure if you even remember, there were about 3 to 4 straight weeks of like 25-mile-per-hour winds and rain in Cleveland last year.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
Granted, yeah. And granted, they're still playing in Cleveland. All right, they're still playing in Cleveland. The place hasn't changed. But that's the type of weather fluke where we saw them grind and pound. They're pounding the rock because they had to.
Yeah, they had to.
It's not something that has to repeat. There were 4 games where Baker could not throw the ball because of weather. That's extenuating.
That's one of the things that popped out when I ran the numbers for like total plays for all the teams. The Browns came out a lot less run heavy than people would think, and I kind of shared it with some of my friends. Like, that's one of the. I was like, "What looks off here to you?" And they're like, "Browns are going to run the ball more than that." But I mean, linear regression says no. I know I'm starting to lose some people here, so we'll move on. But running back, I highlighted these 3 here, where dynasty ADP is higher than redraft ADP, and these guys are a little bit older. So it wouldn't make sense that they're kind of right there, kind of approaching that cliff of, are they done? Devin Singletary hasn't really flashed, but I mean, everyone's assuming Zach Moss is the guy there. And that's why he's going so late in redraft. But in Dynasty, I think people are still holding on to hope. And I kind of tend to side with Dynasty. That's disgusting. It's gross, I know. But I mean, the Zach Moss injury, he hasn't really been the most durable guy. Then all of a sudden, Devin Singletary has smashed in those types of opportunities. I'm thinking specifically a playoff game a couple years ago before Zach Moss. Devin Singletary had a big game for those playoff rosters. He can do it. I mean, especially if he's the only guy there. Did they bring in Matt Breida?
They brought in Matt Breida, and they still have Antonio Williams, who showed a little bit last year.
Yeah, he had one game with 2 touchdowns, so that's his only game on record. So the models that I run have him like RB1. He's
an analytical genius, but ultimately at the RB in Buffalo is Josh Allen. And I agree. I'll take the shot on the later Buffalo guy, and especially if I'm going with a 0 RB approach. I mean, if I'm spending a 10th round pick in what I'm almost locking in as a top flight scoring offense, I'll take the chance. I think the Buffalo wins this division. That provides plenty of positive game scripts. Yeah. Josh Allen can't throw the ball 40, 50 times a game every single week. And Zach Moss is not. Devin Singletary may not be the answer, but Zach Moss isn't either. That's personally my belief as well.
Yeah, and then so I'm just hitting Kenyon Drake a lot in 0 RB builds, James Conner a lot. It's just kind of like after I've exhausted just hammering wide receiver, those are the guys that are popping up, and I'm a little more willing to ride with those guys than make sure I get my anchor RB or my hero RB or whatever you want to call it. And like I said, I like kind of piecing together a Frankenstein of backfield here with these types of guys. Another one that's interesting is right here. This is pre Cam Akers injury. But Darrell Henderson here, the Sims told us that we should have been taking him. I'm just saying, like a full round of where he was going, we should have been getting him. So a little confirmation bias for us. Let's move on to wide receiver. A couple that really pop here. There's a huge gap for Rashad Bateman. He's a rookie, which makes sense why Dynasty loves him. But his redraft ADP is so late. This might be a little late. I'm pulling this redraft from Mock Fantasy footballcalculator.com. It's a lot of mocks, so it should be pretty accurate, but this might be a little too low for him in what you're going to see in drafts. But how do you feel about Bateman?
See, I've grabbed Bateman in almost every single mock I've done so far, but what I'm going to quickly point out from what I see right here, of those first 18, 19 names, I see 3 Baltimore receivers. And yeah. I think that's a big reason why. Top 2 being Bateman and Watkins. And I'll take Bateman over all of them because he's going as late as he is. He has first-round capital. I've loved him out of Minnesota. I think he has a number 1 build. If Lamar Jackson is going to make that step, Bateman's going to be the biggest reason why. And it costs you nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. You might as well take the chance. It's tough that he plays against the Steelers and the Browns 4 times a year, but he also plays the Bengals, and it's a good offense. Another thing this tells us is there's a lot of wide receiver value. Wide receivers are valued really, really, really heavily in Dynasty, whereas in redraft it seems like you can scoop a lot of value late. But like I said, this is just telling us these are all solid picks. These non-rookie young wide receivers, even Jamar Chase, like I said, but. Yeah, the Mike Williams, the DJ Moores, the Cortland Suttons, people that they're still young, but people seem to be undervaluing them because recency bias, I guess.
Yeah, but if you're wondering, we'll take a look at tight ends here. Cole Kmet, no, thank you, but I mean, I guess the Dynasty community loves him compared to the redraft community. Gerald Everett, like I said, I mean, go get yourself a good tight end. I think that's the takeaway here. But yeah, this is this whole spreadsheet. If you're interested, it's in the article. Another plug. Shout out to me. But for fantasy's sake, QC.com. Make sure you go and check out all the awesome content there. We got a draft guide coming, divisional previews. You'll see plenty more Sims. So you can either tail me and make money, or you can comment and tell me how much you hate statistics. Either way, I'll make you feel something. That's what I promise. I might not be right, but I'll make you feel something.
And what else can you ask for, honestly, right? Yeah, so right? You did a great job with that. Thank you. That's I couldn't do it. So yeah, no, another shout out right there. Definitely check out for fantasy's sake on check out the website. I wrote up a draft guide. I know Nick did as well. He's got the chart up there. We got divisional previews coming in a few weeks. Everything that you need to get ready for your season, that's going to be there for fantasy's sake. And to speak nothing of the content coming in season and the shows. But that's going to wrap it up. Do you have any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I'm excited for this podcast. We'll probably settle into a little bit of a regular rotation here. Got to give a shout out to my guy, Mike here. I don't know if you guys could tell or not, but I met him for the first time yesterday, for real. We chatted for about 30 minutes, but one thing I knew right away is this guy loves talking ball. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. You can follow me on Twitter at run_the_sims. That's run the sims with underscores instead of spaces. And you can follow my guy. Is that 2 underscores? Michael underscore?
One underscore was taken. So yes, that's 2. If you look up Michael Sicoli, it should be the first name that comes up.
All right.
And you should definitely check out for fantasy's sake at FFSQC on Twitter as well. You can check us all out. I insist, give us a follow. But no, this was a blast. Can't wait to do it again. So until next time, this was Short Yardage presented by fantasy's sake. I'm Michael Sicoli.
Later.
All right. See ya.